The waitress with a failing prosthetic had no choice: sit next to the Mafia boss or collapse. He let her. What she didn't know: 7 years ago, his order took her leg. Now his enemies think she matters to him. And he's about to burn his entire empire to keep her safe. The night bus smelled like rain and old coffee. Clara Rodriguez gripped the overhead rail with both hands, her knuckles white. Every bump in the road sent a shock through her right leg, or what was left of it. The prosthetic was dying. She'd known it for weeks. The socket didn't fit right anymore, and the hydraulic knee made a grinding sound that embarrassed her in quiet rooms. But prosthetics cost more than her rent. More than 3 months of rent, actually. The bus lurched around a corner. Clara's grip slipped. She stumbled forward, catching herself against a seat. Pain shot up through her residual limb. She bit down on her lip to keep from crying out. A few passengers glanced up from their phones, then quickly looked away. That was always how it went. People noticed, then pretended they hadn't. "You okay, miss?" The driver called back.
Fine, Clara Lid.
She wasn't fine. She'd worked a double shift at the restaurant, 8 hours on her feet, taking orders, carrying trays, smiling until her face hurt. Her daughter Mia was at the neighbor's house, probably already asleep. Clara had missed bedtime again. Missed dinner. Missed everything that mattered because she was too busy surviving. The bus was packed. Standing room only. Clara scanned the seats desperately, looking for anyone who might take pity on her. But everyone was carefully absorbed in their screens or staring out windows at nothing. Except for one seat. Near the back, a man sat alone. The seat beside him was empty, even though people were standing in the aisle. Clara understood why immediately. You could feel the danger rolling off him like heat from asphalt in summer. He wore an expensive black suit, perfectly tailored. His dark hair was pushed back from his face, revealing sharp cheekbones and a jaw that looked carved from stone. But it was his eyes that made people keep their distance. They were dark, cold, and utterly still. The eyes of a man who'd seen terrible things. Maybe done terrible things. Clara knew who he was. Everyone in this part of the city knew. Leo Moretti. The name was whispered in restaurants and shops, always with a glance over the shoulder. He ran half the organized crime in the city. Maybe more than half, depending on who you asked. Protection rackets. Loan sharking. Things Clara didn't want to think about. The bus hit another pothole. Clara gasped as her prosthetic shifted wrong inside the socket. Her vision blurred with tears. She couldn't stay standing. She physically couldn't. She had 2 choices: collapse in the aisle, or ask the most dangerous man in the city if she could sit beside him. Clara limped toward the back of the bus. Leo Moretti didn't look up. He was reading something on his phone, his expression unreadable. As Clara got closer, she noticed his hands. They were scarred across the knuckles. Working hands, despite the expensive suit. She stopped beside the empty seat. Her heart hammered so hard she could feel it in her throat. "Excuse me," she said quietly. "Can I sit here?" Leo looked up slowly. His gaze swept over her face, then dropped to her right leg, to the obvious prosthetic showing below her uniform pants. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Recognition, maybe. Or calculation. For 3 long seconds he said nothing. Clara's leg trembled. She was going to fall. Right here, right now, in front of everyone. "Sit," Leo said. The word was quiet, but it carried weight. Authority. Clara sank into the seat with a gasp of relief. The pressure came off her leg immediately. She closed her eyes, just breathing. "Thank you," she whispered. Leo said nothing. He went back to his phone, as if she didn't exist. Clara leaned her head against the window. The city slid past, streetlights and closed shops and alleys where bad things happened. She'd lived here her whole life. Knew every corner, every shortcut. But lately it felt like the city was crushing her. Like every day was a fight she was slowly losing. She glanced sideways at the man beside her. Up close, she could see he was younger than she'd thought. Maybe 35. There was something tired around his eyes, like he didn't sleep much. Bad leg? He asked suddenly, not looking at her. Clara stiffened. Prosthetic. It's breaking down. How'd you lose it? The question was blunt, almost rude. But there was no cruelty in his voice. Just curiosity. Shooting, Clara said. Wrong place, wrong time. 7 years ago. Leo's jaw tightened. This neighborhood. 2 blocks from where I live now. He nodded slowly, something dark passing across his face. Then he went silent again. They rode like that for 10 minutes. The bus gradually emptied as they moved away from downtown. Clara felt her body relaxing despite herself. Something about sitting still, about not having to fight for balance, made her realize how exhausted she was. When her stop came, she stood carefully. Thank you again. Leo finally looked at her directly. His eyes weren't cold anymore. They were complicated. Be careful, he said. This city isn't safe at night. Clara almost laughed. She wanted to tell him that she knew exactly how unsafe this city was, that she'd learned that lesson the hard way. But she just nodded and moved toward the door. As she stepped off the bus, she didn't see the black sedan parked across the street. Didn't see the man with the camera or the one talking quietly into a phone. But Leo saw them. He watched through the window as Clara limped down the sidewalk toward a rundown apartment building. Watched as his enemies, men who'd been following him all evening, suddenly shifted their attention to her. They thought she mattered to him. One simple act of human decency, and now she was marked. Leo pulled out his phone and made a call. The woman who just got off the bus, he said quietly. I want someone watching her building. Discreetly. Boss, who is she? Leo looked at Clara's retreating figure. She was climbing the steps to her building now, moving slowly, painfully. No one, he said. That's the problem. He ended the call and stared out at the dark street. For the first time in years, Leo Moretti felt something he'd almost forgotten. Regret. Because he knew what happened to people who caught the attention of his world. He'd seen it 100 times. And now, because she'd asked one simple question, Clara Rodriguez had become a target. The bus pulled away from the curb. In the darkness behind them, the black sedan's headlights came on. The counting had already begun. Clara's hands shook as she fit her key into the apartment lock. 3 tries before it turned. Inside, Mrs. Chun was asleep on the couch, the TV playing some late-night show at low volume. Clara's neighbor was 72 and watched Mia whenever Clara worked late, which was almost every night now. Mrs. Chun, Clara whispered, touching her shoulder gently. The older woman startled awake. Oh, Clara. I didn't hear you come in. I'm sorry it's so late. No trouble. Mia went down at 8. She asked for you. Mrs. Chen's expression was kind but concerned. She always asks for you. Guilt twisted in Clara's stomach. I know. Thank you for staying. After Mrs. Chen left, Clara checked on Mia. Her daughter was 5 years old, small for her age, with dark curls spread across the pillow. She slept holding a stuffed rabbit that had seen better days. Clara kissed her forehead, breathing in the smell of children's shampoo. Mommy loves you, she whispered. Even when I'm not here. In the bathroom, Clara finally removed the prosthetic. The skin underneath was red and inflamed. She developed a pressure sore that was getting worse. But she couldn't afford to take days off to let it heal. Couldn't afford the prosthetist appointment to adjust the fit. Couldn't afford anything except barely surviving. Clara wrapped the sore, took 2 painkillers, and collapsed into bed. Sleep came fast, heavy and dreamless. Outside her building, Marcus Reeves sat in a dark Honda, watching. He'd been Leo Moretti's personal security for 6 years. He'd killed 4 men in that time. Protected Leo from a dozen more attempts. He was good at his job because he understood one fundamental truth. Leo's instincts were never wrong. If the boss said watch this woman, there was a reason. Marcus had followed Clara from the bus stop, keeping 3 car lengths back. Watched her struggle up the stairs. Watched the lights come on in apartment 3C, then go dark 20 minutes later. Now he waited. At 2:47 a.m., Marcus saw them. 2 men in a silver Acura, cruising slowly past the building. They circled the block once.
Twice.
On the third pass, they stopped directly across the street, engine idling. Marcus recognized the car immediately. Dmitry Volkov's crew. Russian mob, trying to muscle in on Leo's territory for the past year. They'd been at the meeting Leo attended tonight, sitting in the back, watching everything. They'd seen Clara sit next to Leo. Seen him let her, when he never let anyone close. Now, they were here. Marcus called Leo. It rang once. Talk. Leo's voice was alert, not sleepy. He never really slept. Volkov's men are outside her building. Silver Acura. 2 of them. Silence. Then, don't engage. Just watch. Boss, if they go inside. I said watch, Marcus. The line went dead. Marcus gritted his teeth. He understood orders. But he also understood that women and children made easy targets when men wanted to send messages. In the Acura, the passenger took out his phone and snapped photos of the building, of the entrance, of the lit windows and dark ones, gathering information. Then they drove away. Marcus exhaled slowly. He sent the license plate number to Leo, along with a timestamp and location. Then he settled in for the rest of the night. At 3:15 a.m., Clara woke to use the bathroom. Through the window, she saw a dark car parked down the street. A man sitting inside, barely visible. Her blood went cold. She'd grown up in this neighborhood. She knew what men sitting in cars at 3 a.m. meant. Nothing good. But who would watch her building? She had no money worth stealing. No enemies she knew of. Clara's mind went immediately to the bus. To Leo Moretti.
No.
That was crazy. She'd just sat next to him. That was all. He probably didn't even remember her face. But the car was still there. Clara checked the locks on her door.
Checked them again.
Then she went to Mia's room and locked that door too from the inside. She lay down on the floor beside her daughter's bed, watching the strip of light under the door.
She didn't sleep again.
At 5 a.m., Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from Leo. Leave. I'm handling it. Marcus frowned, but started his engine. As he pulled away from the curb, another car approached from the opposite direction. A black Mercedes. Leo's personal vehicle. Their cars passed each other. Leo didn't look over, but Marcus saw his face in the streetlight. The boss looked furious. Leo parked where Marcus had been sitting. He stared up at Clara's building, at the lit window on the 3rd floor where someone clearly wasn't sleeping. He'd made her a target by simply existing near her. And now she was afraid. Leo's phone buzzed. A message from Dmitry Volkov. Nice friend you made on the bus. Would be a shame if she got caught in crossfire. Leo's hands tightened on the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. He'd started something he couldn't stop. The only question now was how much it would cost to protect a woman whose name he didn't even know. The Sunrise Diner smelled like burnt coffee and syrup. Clara sat in a corner booth, watching Mia color on a paper placemat with crayons the waitress had brought. Stay inside the lines, baby, Clara said softly. I am, Mommy. Mia's tongue poked out in concentration as she colored a cartoon pancake bright purple. Clara sipped her coffee. She'd ordered scrambled eggs for Mia and toast for herself. It was more than she wanted to spend, but Mia needed a real breakfast before school. And Clara needed to be somewhere public, somewhere with people and lights and witnesses. She hadn't imagined the car last night. It had been there until dawn, when it finally drove away. Clara had watched it leave, then immediately gotten Mia ready and left the apartment. She'd go to work early. Maybe stay late again. Anything to not be home. Can I get chocolate milk? Mia asked. Not today, sweetheart. But you promised last time. I know. Next time. Mia's face fell, but she didn't argue. She was learning too young that next time often meant never. The bell above the diner door chimed. Clara glanced up reflexively, a habit from years of staying alert, and froze. Leo Moretti walked in. He wore a different suit today, charcoal gray instead of black, but he had the same dangerous presence. The waitress's smile faltered when she saw him. The cook visible through the kitchen window stopped moving. Leo's eyes swept the diner and landed on Clara. For a moment, Neither of them moved. Then Leo walked directly to her booth. "Ms. Rodriguez," he said quietly. Clara's stomach dropped. "You know my name." "I know a lot of things." He glanced at Mia, and his expression softened slightly. "May I sit?" "Do I have a choice?" "Yes." Clara believed him, which was somehow worse. She nodded at the empty side of the booth. Leo slid in, moving with the careful control of someone always aware of their body and space. Mia stared at him with wide eyes. "Are you a prince?" Leo blinked. "What?" "You look like a prince from my storybook. Rich and fancy." A smile ghosted across Leo's face. There and gone. "I'm not a prince, little one." "Then what are you?" "Mia," Clara said sharply. "That's rude." "Just curious," Leo said. He looked at Mia seriously. "I'm a businessman." "What kind of business?" "The complicated kind." The waitress approached nervously. "Coffee, sir?"
Please.
Black. Leo waited until she left, then turned to Clara. "You had trouble sleeping last night." It wasn't a question. Clara's hands tightened around her coffee cup. "There was a car outside my building. All night." "I know." "Was it yours?"
Yes.
"And others?" Clara felt her chest tighten. "Why?" Leo was quiet for a moment. The waitress brought his coffee with shaking hands and hurried away. He took a sip, then set the cup down precisely. "Yesterday, when you sat next to me on the bus, people were watching. People who make assumptions. Dangerous assumptions."
About what?
"About why I would let someone sit beside me. About what you might mean to me." Clara laughed. A harsh sound. "I don't mean anything to you. We're strangers."
They don't know that.
"Then tell them." "It doesn't work that way." Leo's voice was patient but firm. "In my world, once you're noticed, you stay noticed."
Mi attack de Clara es live. Mommy, I'm hungry.
"I know, baby. The food is coming." Clara's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and her face went pale. "What is it?"
Leo asked.
Clara closed her eyes. "My landlord. She stopped, aware of Mia listening. "He wants to talk." "Put it on speaker."
No.
"Ms. Rodriguez."
No Clara Studebratli.
"Mia, stay here. I'll be right back." She walked outside, the phone pressed to her ear. Through the diner window, Leo watched her pace on the sidewalk. Her free hand moved as she talked, animated, desperate. He could read the conversation in her body language. Pleading. Explaining. Failing. When Clara came back inside, her eyes were red. "Everything okay, Mommy?" Mia asked. "Everything's fine." Clara's voice was too bright. She sat down and wouldn't look at Leo. "What did he say?" Leo asked quietly. "None of your business." "How long?" Clara's jaw tightened. 5 days. "He's evicting us in 5 days." "Why?" "Because I'm 2 months behind on rent. Because my hours got cut last month and I couldn't catch up. Because," she stopped, swallowed hard. "It doesn't matter why." Mia had stopped coloring. She stared at her mother with the two knowing eyes of a child who'd heard this kind of conversation before. The waitress brought their food. Mia picked at her eggs without enthusiasm. Leo pulled out his phone and typed something. Clara watched him suspiciously. "What are you doing?" "Handling it." "No." Clara leaned forward. "I don't want your help. I don't want anything from you. You're the reason someone was watching my building last night. You're the reason my daughter and I aren't safe. So thank you for the information, but stay away from us." She threw 2 crumpled bills on the table, probably all the cash she had, and picked up Mia. "We're leaving, baby." "But I didn't finish." "Now, Mia." Leo stood as they left. "Ms. Rodriguez." Clara turned at the door. "It's Clara. And I mean it. Stay away." She walked out with Mia on her hip, limping heavily. The prosthetic was worse today. Leo sat back down slowly. His coffee had gone cold. Through the window, he watched Clara wait at the bus stop, holding Mia close. His phone buzzed. A text from his accountant. "Transaction ready. Where should I send payment?" Leo stared at the message. Clara had told him to stay away, had made it clear she wanted nothing from him. But in 5 days, she'd be on the street with a 5-year-old daughter. Because of him or not, Leo couldn't let that happen. He texted back an address, Clara's landlord's office, and an amount that would cover 6 months of rent. Then he added, anonymous donor. No names. Some debts couldn't be paid directly, but they could still be paid. Leo's office was in a building downtown that officially housed an import-export company. The top floor, however, belonged entirely to him. Soundproofed walls, reinforced doors, windows that were bulletproof and tinted so dark that even at noon, the room felt like evening. He sat at his desk, staring at a file folder. It had taken Marcus 3 hours to pull together everything on Clara Rodriguez. Address, employment history, medical records, the kind of information that shouldn't be accessible, but always was if you knew the right people. Most of it was mundane. A woman working 2 jobs, barely surviving, raising a daughter alone. No family listed. No emergency contacts except an elderly neighbor. But one detail had stopped Leo cold. Date of injury, March 15, 2018. Location, corner of 5th and Morrison. Incident, gang-related shooting. Victim caught in crossfire. Leo opened his laptop and pulled up his organization's incident reports from that date. He kept meticulous records. In his business, memory was unreliable. Documentation was forever. March 15, 2018. He remembered that day clearly now. A dispute with a rival crew over territory. His lieutenant, Vincent Calabrese, had ordered a hit. Quick and clean, Vincent had said. Send a message. But it hadn't been clean. Leo scrolled through the report. 3 targets, all confirmed eliminated. But there had been complications. Witnesses. Collateral damage. 1 civilian injured. The report was clinical. Female, late 20s, caught in peripheral fire. Non-fatal injury to lower right leg. Ambulance called. No police cooperation from victim. No name listed. She'd been just another number in the cost of doing business. Leo pulled up the hospital records Marcus had obtained. Clara Rodriguez, admitted March 15th, emergency surgery, multiple complications, eventual amputation below the knee. He cross-referenced the timestamps. The shooting happened at 11:47 p.m. Clara was admitted at 12:23 a.m. It was her. Leo sat back in his chair, something cold settling in his chest. He'd given Vincent the order to handle the situation. Hadn't asked questions about method or timing. He'd been building his empire then, consolidating power, and he'd learned that empires were built on hard decisions and acceptable losses. Clara Rodriguez had been an acceptable loss. The door opened. Vincent Calabrese walked in without knocking, one of the few people who had that privilege. Boss, we need to talk about the Volkov situation, Vincent said. He was 45, built like a boxer, with gray threading through his dark hair. They're getting bold. Last night. 5th and Morrison, Leo interrupted. March 2018. Tell me about it. Vincent's expression didn't change, but Leo saw the calculation in his eyes. That was 7 years ago. I remember. I'm asking about the details. Territory dispute. The Alvarez crew was moving product through our streets. You told me to handle it. How did you handle it? 3 targets. Clean eliminations, Vincent paused. There was a witness. A woman. She got clipped in the leg. Clipped, Leo repeated flatly. Wrong place, wrong time. We couldn't have predicted. Did you check on her afterward? Vincent frowned. We sent someone to the hospital to make sure she wasn't talking to cops. She wasn't. After that, she wasn't our problem. She lost her leg. I didn't know that. Vincent shifted his weight. Leo, what is this about? Leo turned his laptop around, showing Clara's photo from her employee badge. This woman. You recognize her? Vincent studied the screen. Should I? She sat next to me on a bus yesterday. She asked permission. I said yes. Leo's voice was quiet, controlled. And now Volkov thinks she matters to me. Does she?
No.
But 7 years ago, one of your bullets took her leg. She was 26, working night shifts to support herself, and she got caught in our war. She spent 7 years struggling because of a decision we made in 30 seconds. Vincent was silent for a long moment. We've made a lot of decisions, Leo. A lot of people have gotten hurt. You can't carry them all. I don't. Leo closed the laptop. But this one has a face now.
A name.
A daughter. So, what do you want to do? That was the question. Leo had built his empire by never looking back, never second-guessing, never allowing guilt to cloud judgment. Regret was weakness. Sentiment got people killed. But he couldn't stop seeing Clara's face in the diner. The way she'd held her daughter. The exhaustion in her eyes. The pride that made her refuse help even when she was drowning. The prosthetic she's using is failing, Leo said. Find out where she got it. Contact them anonymously. Tell them there's been a charitable donation to cover a new one. Full replacement, custom fit, top quality.
Leo.
Do it today. Vincent nodded slowly. Anything else? The landlord situation.
I've handled it.
But I want someone watching her building. Discreetly. Volkov's crew was there last night. You're protecting her. I'm containing a problem I created. That's not how this looks from the outside. Leo met Vincent's eyes. I don't care how it looks. Vincent left without another word. When the door closed, Leo opened the laptop again and stared at Clara's photo. She'd said the shooting happened wrong place, wrong time. She'd carried that trauma for 7 years, turned it into just bad luck, random violence in a violent city. She had no idea it was ordered.
Planned.
That somewhere in a soundproofed office, a man in an expensive suit had signed off on the operation that cost her everything. Leo had built his empire on distance, on making sure the people who suffered because of his decisions remained abstract. Numbers and reports. Acceptable losses. But Clara Rodriguez wasn't abstract anymore. She was real. And she was suffering because of him. For the first time in his career, Leo Moretti didn't know how to fix what he'd broken. The letter arrived at Clara's apartment 2 days later. She almost threw it away, assuming it was another bill she couldn't pay. But the envelope was thick, expensive paper, with no return address. Just her name typed neatly on the front. Inside was a letter on official letterhead from Providence Medical Solutions, the prosthetics clinic across town. The fancy one she'd looked up once and immediately dismissed because their prices required insurance she didn't have. Dear Ms. Rodriguez, we are pleased to inform you that you have been selected as a recipient of our Community Care Initiative. This program provides comprehensive prosthetic services to individuals in need at no cost to the recipient. You are eligible for a complete evaluation and custom prosthetic replacement, including all fittings and adjustments. Please call our office to schedule your initial appointment. Congratulations on your selection. Clara read it 3 times. Then she called the number. Providence Medical, how may I help you? I received a letter about a program? The Community Care Initiative?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez, correct? Let me pull up your file. A pause. Perfect. We have you scheduled for tomorrow at 2 p.m. Does that work? I didn't schedule anything. The nomination was submitted on your behalf by an anonymous donor. All costs are covered through the program. You just need to come in for the evaluation. Clara's hand tightened on the phone. Who submitted my name? I'm sorry, that information is confidential. Donor privacy is protected by. I know who it was. Clara's voice went cold. Tell him I'm not interested. Ms. Rodriguez, this is a significant opportunity. A custom prosthetic of this quality would normally cost between $40,000 and $60,000. Clara hung up. She stood in her tiny kitchen, breathing hard. Mia was at kindergarten. The apartment was quiet except for the drip of the leaky faucet Clara couldn't afford to fix.
$62,000.
The amount was staggering.
Impossible.
It represented years of her life, years of debt she could never climb out of. And Leo Moretti was offering it like it was nothing. Clara looked down at her prosthetic. The socket had cracked yesterday. She'd patched it with duct tape. The knee joint stuck every 3rd step. She'd developed a new pressure sore that made every movement agony. She was going to lose her job if she couldn't stay on her feet. And if she lost her job, the eviction Leo had mysteriously stopped would just come back later. Everything would come back later. Clara picked up her phone and called the clinic back. "I'll come," she said. "Tomorrow at 2. The clinic was beautiful. All glass and modern furniture, with artwork on the walls and coffee machines in the waiting area. Clara felt underdressed in her restaurant uniform, having come straight from the morning shift. A technician named Sarah brought her back to an evaluation room. She was young, enthusiastic, and careful not to stare at Clara's leg. "Okay, let's take a look at what you're working with," Sarah said. Clara removed her prosthetic. The socket came off with a sucking sound that made Sarah wince. "How long have you been using this model?" 5 years. It was used when I got it." Sarah examined it carefully. "Ms. Rodriguez, this isn't safe. The structural integrity is compromised. You could seriously injure yourself." "I know. Why didn't you come in sooner?" Clara laughed bitterly. "Because I can't afford a $60 copay, let alone $60,000. Sarah's expression softened. "Well, you're here now. Let's get you set up properly." The evaluation took 2 hours. Measurements, molds, gait analysis, discussion of activity levels and goals. Sarah explained every step, showed Clara catalogs of components, talked about microprocessor knees and energy return feet like they were magic. "With your activity level, I'd recommend the Autobach Genium X3, Sarah said. "It has intuitive stance and swing phase control. You'll be able to walk more naturally with less fatigue." "How much does that cost?" "For you? Nothing. It's covered." Clara wanted to cry. Or scream. Maybe both. When the appointment finished, Sarah walked her to the front desk. "We'll have everything ready in 3 weeks. You'll come back for the initial fitting, then we'll schedule follow-ups to make sure everything is perfect." "Okay," Clara said quietly. Outside, she found Leo Moretti leaning against a black Mercedes in the parking lot. Clara stopped. For a moment, she considered turning around, finding another exit. But that was cowardice. She walked straight to him. "Following me now?" she asked. "Making sure you showed up. You had no right to do this." "I had every ability." "That's close enough." Clara's hands clenched into fists. "I don't want your charity." "It's not charity. It's compensation." "For what?" Leo was quiet for a long moment. His expression was unreadable. "For existing in a city where people like you get hurt because of people like me." "That's not specific enough to mean anything." "It's all I can give you right now." Clara stepped closer. She had to tilt her head back to look him in the eye. "I'll accept the prosthetic. Because I need it, and my pride isn't worth my daughter's future. But that's all. No more anonymous help. No more protection. No more watching my building at night. I can't promise that." "Why not?" "Because Volkov is still watching you. Because my enemies think you matter to me. Because, like it or not, you're in my world now. Then get me out of it." "I'm trying." Leo's voice was rough. "This is me trying." Clara searched his face. She saw exhaustion there, and something that looked like guilt. It softened her anger slightly. Only slightly. "I don't need a savior," she said. "I need to be left alone. Those might be mutually exclusive. Then pick one. Because I won't live my life looking over my shoulder, wondering when your war is going to cost me something else." Clara walked away before he could respond. She didn't look back. Behind her, Leo watched until she turned the corner. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. "Vincent, about that operation we planned for Friday night near Morrison Street." "What about it?" "Cancel it. Move it somewhere else." "Leo, we've been planning this for weeks." "I said cancel it." Leo ended the call and stared at the clinic building. He was making decisions based on one woman's proximity to danger. Changing operations. Redirecting resources. All for someone who'd made it clear she wanted nothing from him. His lieutenants would notice. His enemies would notice. But for the first time in years, Leo Moretti didn't care. The warehouse on the industrial waterfront smelled like salt and diesel fuel. Leo stood in the center of the empty space, surrounded by 7 of his most trusted lieutenants. Maps were spread across a folding table. Red circles marked targets. Vincent was mid-presentation, pointing at intersections and building layouts. We hit all 3 locations simultaneously. 20 minutes in and out. Volkov's crew won't know what happened until it's over. Casualties? Leo asked. Minimal civilian exposure. We've timed it for 3 a.m. These buildings are commercial, empty at night. Leo studied the map. One of the red circles was 2 blocks from Morrison Street. 2 blocks from Clara's apartment. What about Morrison? He asked. Vincent frowned. What about it? Residential buildings. Families. If shots are fired. Leo, we've been through this. The target building is isolated. Containment is solid. Containment is never solid. Bullets don't respect boundaries. Leo's voice was sharp. Move the Morrison location. Find another target. The room went quiet. Anthony Russo, Leo's oldest lieutenant, spoke carefully. Boss, we've spent 3 weeks setting this up. The Morrison location is strategic. It's Volkov's main distribution point in that sector. Then he'll build another one somewhere else. With respect, we can't plan operations around residential areas. Half the city is residential. Leo looked up from the map. This one is different. Why? Because a woman and a 5-year-old girl lived 2 blocks away. Because Clara had already paid enough for his wars. Because the thought of her waking up to gunfire made something twist in his chest. But Leo couldn't say any of that. Because I said so. Vincent and Anthony exchanged glances. The other lieutenants shifted uncomfortably. Leo, Vincent said slowly. Is this about the woman from the bus? This is about minimizing collateral damage. We always minimize collateral damage. But we can't run this organization by avoiding every neighborhood where someone might get scared. Vincent's voice hardened. You're changing operational protocols because of one civilian. I'm changing one target location. Find alternatives. There are no alternatives with this timeline. Anthony leaned forward. Leo, if we postpone, Volkov will know something spooked us. We'll look weak. We'll look strategic. We'll look compromised. Vincent's jaw tightened. The men are talking. They've noticed the pattern. What pattern? Extra security on Morrison Street. Anonymous donations to clinics we've never worked with. Cancelled operations near specific residential zones. Vincent's voice dropped. They're saying you've gone soft over a woman who doesn't even know who you are. Leo's expression went cold. What the men say is irrelevant. What they believe is very relevant. Our organization runs on fear and respect. Right now, they're losing respect. Then they can leave. The statement hung in the air like a blade. No one left Leo's organization. You were in until you died or got arrested. Everyone in this room knew that. We're not questioning your authority, Anthony said carefully. We're questioning your judgment. Same thing. No, it's not. Vincent stepped closer. Leo, I've followed you for 12 years. I've never doubted you. But this, he gestured at the map. This isn't you. You don't make decisions based on protecting strangers. You make decisions based on what's best for the organization. Maybe those aren't mutually exclusive. They are in this case. Vincent's voice was frustrated now. If we don't hit Volkov hard and soon, he's going to think we're vulnerable. He's already testing boundaries. Last week his crew moved product through 3 of our streets. 3. They're not asking permission anymore because they don't think we'll respond. Leo looked at each man in the circle. He saw doubt in their eyes. Confusion. The beginning of fracture. An empire built on certainty couldn't survive a leader who hesitated. The Morrison operation is cancelled, Leo said flatly. Find alternative targets by tomorrow morning. We hit Volkov Friday night as planned, just different locations. And if there are no good alternatives? Anthony asked. Then we postpone until there are. For how long? A week? A month? Until this woman moves to a different neighborhood? Vincent's voice rose. Leo, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You're compromising our position because I choose to. Leo's voice cut through the room like ice. This conversation is over. Get me alternative targets by morning. He walked out before anyone could respond. Outside, Marcus was waiting by the car. He opened the door without speaking. Leo slid into the back seat and closed his eyes. That went well, Marcus said dryly from the driver's seat. You were listening. Sound carries in warehouses. Leo said nothing. Marcus pulled into traffic. They're not wrong, you know. Volkov is getting bold. And the men notice when you change patterns. I don't care what they notice. You should. Vincent's been with you since the beginning. If he's questioning your decisions, Vincent doesn't see the full picture. What picture is that? Leo opened his eyes and stared out at the city lights. The one where I'm trying to stop being the reason people suffer. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Boss, you know that's not how this works. Our business creates suffering. That's the foundation. You can't change that for one person without changing everything. Maybe everything needs to change. Marcus pulled over abruptly. He turned in his seat, looking at Leo directly. Are you serious right now? I don't know. Because if you are, we need to talk about exit strategies. About succession plans. I'm not exiting. I'm just Leo trailed off. He didn't have words for what he was doing. Drive, Marcus. Marcus hesitated, then pulled back into traffic. They drove in silence through streets Leo controlled. Streets where his name meant power and fear. Streets where people like Clara tried to survive in the spaces between his wars. His phone buzzed. A text from Vincent. Decision stands. Leo typed back. Yes. A moment later. Men won't like this. Noted. Leo put his phone away and watched the city pass. Somewhere in these streets, Clara was probably working another double shift. Mia was probably with Mrs. Chun, asking when her mother would come home. And Leo was losing his grip on an empire because he couldn't stop thinking about a woman who wanted nothing to do with him. Vincent was right. This wasn't sustainable. Something had to break. Leo just hoped it wouldn't be Clara who paid the price when it did. Clara was late picking up Mia from kindergarten. She half ran, half limped down the sidewalk, her old prosthetic grinding with every step. The school would charge her $5 for every 15 minutes she was late. $5 she didn't have. She burst through the school doors at 3:47 p.m. The office staff gave her pointed looks. Mia sat in a plastic chair, swinging her legs, drawing in a notebook. When she saw Clara, her face lit up. Mommy, I'm so sorry, baby. The bus was late. The secretary pushed a clipboard across the desk. Sign here, please. That's $10 late fee. Clara's hand trembled as she signed. $10. That was groceries. That was the money she'd saved for Mia's school supplies. Outside, Mia chattered about her day. We learned about butterflies. And Tommy brought his hamster for show and tell, but it bit Miss Peterson, and she screamed really loud. That's great, honey. Are you listening? Clara stopped and knelt down, ignoring the pain in her leg. She cupped Mia's face.
I'm listening.
I'm always listening. I'm just tired. You're always tired. The simple truth of it broke Clara's heart. I know.
I'm sorry.
They walked toward the bus stop. Clara saw him before he saw her, Leo Moretti, standing near a playground across the street, partially hidden by trees. He wasn't dressed in a suit today. Just dark jeans and a leather jacket. Almost normal. Almost. Clara's first instinct was to walk away. But Mia needed to use the bathroom, and the playground had public restrooms. Come on, Clara said, changing direction. They crossed the street. Mia ran ahead to the bathroom. Clara walked to where Leo stood, watching children play on swings and slides. Are you following me? She asked. Leo didn't seem surprised to see her.
No.
I was. Thinking. In a playground, kids are honest. They don't pretend to be something they're not. He gestured at a girl pushing another child on the swings. See that?
Pure kindness. No agenda.
Clara studied his profile. He looked tired today. Human. You have a strange way of thinking. Occupational hazard. They stood in silence, watching children play. After a moment, Leo spoke. You're limping worse. The prosthetic is dying faster than I can get the new one. How much longer? 2.5 weeks until the fitting. Clara paused. Thank you. I didn't say that properly before. Whatever your reasons, That prosthetic will change my life. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. Even if I don't understand why you're doing it. Leo was quiet for a long moment. When did the shooting happen? The one where you lost your leg. Clara stiffened.
Why?
I'm curious. It was 7 years ago, March 15th, late at night. I was walking home from work. She stared at the playground, but she was seeing that night. It happened so fast. I heard shouting, then gunfire. Something hit my leg like a hammer. I went down. There was so much blood.
I'm sorry.
Everyone's sorry. The doctors were sorry. The police were sorry. Sorry doesn't give me my leg back. Clara's voice was flat, emotionless. The way it got when she talked about this. You want to know the worst part? It wasn't the pain. It wasn't even losing the leg. What was it? It was after. Being in the hospital for 2 months.
Losing my job.
Losing my apartment. Learning to walk again, while everyone around me just
Moved on.
like my entire life hadn't exploded. Clara looked at Leo. I was 3 months pregnant when it happened. I didn't even know yet. Leo's face went very still.
Mia. Yes.
I found out in the hospital. They said the trauma could cause complications, but she held on. Clara's voice softened. She's tougher than me. Always has been. You raised her alone? The father left when I was 5 months along. Said he didn't sign up for this. A disabled girlfriend and a baby. Clara smiled bitterly. Can't really blame him. I wouldn't have signed up for it either if I'd had a choice. You regret having her? Never. She's the only good thing that came from that night. Clara watched Mia emerge from the bathroom, skipping toward the swings. I just wish I could give her more. A mother who isn't always exhausted. A home that isn't falling apart. Something better than survival. Leo watched Mia climb onto a swing. His expression was unreadable, but something dark moved behind his eyes. The men who did the shooting, he said carefully. Did they ever get caught?
No.
The police said it was gang-related.
Territorial disputa.
They investigated for maybe a week. Then it became just another file. Clara's hands clenched. Somewhere out there, the person who gave that order is living their life. They probably don't even remember that night. Don't know I exist. Leo said nothing. His jaw was tight. You know what keeps me up sometimes? Clara continued, wondering if they'd care. If I could stand in front of whoever made that decision and show them what it cost, would it matter? Or am I just collateral damage they never think about? It would matter, Leo said quietly. How do you know? Because anyone with a conscience would be destroyed by meeting you. Clara looked at him sharply. There was something in his voice, guilt, pain, something raw she couldn't identify. Mommy, push me. Mia called from the swings. I should go, Clara said. Clara, Leo stopped her with a hand on her arm. His touch was gentle. What happened to you wasn't random violence. It was someone's choice. And that person, wherever they are, they should carry that weight forever. Do you think they do? Leo met her eyes. I think some people don't realize what they've done until it's too late to fix it. Clara didn't understand the intensity in his gaze, but something about it made her uneasy. She pulled her arm free and walked to Mia. Leo watched them leave. Watched Clara push her daughter on the swings, her prosthetic grinding, her face bright with forced happiness for Mia's sake. She'd told him everything. The pain, the loss, the pregnancy, the years of struggling. She'd shown him exactly what his decision had cost. And she had no idea she'd been talking to the man responsible. Leo pulled out his phone and called Vincent. Friday's operation, Leo said. Cancel all of it.
Leo.
Cancel it. Every target. We're not moving on Volkov this week. That's going to cause serious problems. I don't care. The men will mutiny. Let them. Leo ended the call. He stared at Clara and Mia in the fading afternoon light, a mother and daughter who'd survived despite everything he'd taken from them. Vincent was right. He'd gone soft. But standing there, watching Clara laugh as Mia swung higher, Leo realized he couldn't be the reason she suffered anymore, even if it cost him his empire. Clara heard the footsteps behind her in the parking garage. It was 11 p.m. She'd just finished her shift at the restaurant. The garage was mostly empty, dim fluorescent lights casting shadows between concrete pillars. The footsteps matched her pace. Faster when she sped up, slower when she slowed down. Clara's heart hammered. She fumbled for her keys, gripping them between her fingers like a weapon. Her prosthetic caught on uneven pavement, and she stumbled. The footsteps grew closer. Clara Rodriguez. A voice called. Accented. Russian. She turned. Two men stood 10 feet away. Both wore dark clothes. One had a scar running from his eyebrow to his jaw. "I don't have any money," Clara said, hating the tremor in her voice. "We don't want money," the scarred man smiled. "We want to give you a message. I don't know you, but you know Leo Moretti. You sit with him. Talk with him." The man stepped closer. "He's making poor decisions because of you." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't lie. It's insulting." The scarred man pulled out his phone and showed her a photo. Clara and Leo at the playground yesterday, talking. "You matter to him. That makes you valuable to us." Clara backed toward her car.
"I'm nobody."
"We talked once. That's all." "Then why did he cancel operations in your neighborhood? Why did he post guards on your building?" The man's smile widened. "You're either very important, or he's gone very weak. Either way, you're useful." The second man moved to block her path to the car. "What do you want?" Clara asked. "For now, nothing. Just remember, we know where you live. We know where your daughter goes to school. Mia, right? Kindergarten at Jefferson Elementary?" Ice flooded Clara's veins. "Don't you dare. We won't touch her. Unless Moretti forces our hand." The scarred man pocketed his phone. "Tell him to back off. Tell him to stop interfering with our business. Or next time we have this conversation, it won't be in a parking garage." They walked away, disappearing into the shadows between cars. Clara's legs gave out. She slid down against her car, gasping. Her phone was in her purse. She should call the police. Should call someone. But what would she say? "Men threaten me because a mafia boss is protecting me." Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Are you all right?" Clara stared at the message. Another buzz. "Two men approached you. I have someone close by."
"Lie."
He'd been watching. Again. Clara's fear transformed into rage. She called the number. "Clara," Leo's voice. "This is your fault," she shouted. "They threaten my daughter. They know where she goes to school. Where are you?" "In a parking garage being terrorized because of you." "Stay there. I'm sending."
"No."
"I don't want your help. I want you to leave me alone." Clara was crying now, angry tears. "You said I was in your world. You were right. And I hate it. I hate being watched and threatened and terrified because some criminal thinks I matter to you." "You're right," Leo said quietly. "This is my fault. But let me fix it." "You can't fix it. You are it." Clara wiped her eyes furiously. "Stay away from me. Stay away from my daughter. Whatever you think you're doing, stop." She hung up. A car pulled up beside her, a dark sedan. Marcus got out, hands visible, moving slowly. "Ms. Rodriguez, I'm going to drive you home."
"No."
"Those men could come back. I'll take a cab."
"Please."
"Let me at least make sure you get home safely." Clara was too exhausted to argue. She got in the car. They drove in silence for several minutes. Finally, Marcus spoke. "He's trying to protect you. I didn't ask for protection."
"No."
"You asked to sit down." Marcus glanced at her in the rear-view mirror. "That's the tragedy, isn't it? One simple kindness, and everything spirals. Is that supposed to make me feel better?"
"No."
"It's supposed to make you understand that Leo can't just walk away now. Volkov, the men who threatened you, they've decided your leverage. Even if Leo disappeared tomorrow, they'd still use you to draw him out. So what am I supposed to do? Let him finish what he started." Clara laughed harshly. "What is he starting? A war? More violence?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "I've worked for Leo for 6 years. I've seen him make hard decisions. Cold decisions. But since he met you, he's been different. Hesitant. Human." He pulled up to her building. Maybe that's good. Maybe it's dangerous. I honestly don't know anymore. Clara got out without responding. Upstairs, Mrs. Chun was asleep on the couch again. Mia was in bed, safe and unaware that men had threatened her life today. Clara checked every lock twice. Checked the windows. Put a chair against the door. Then she went to Mia's room and lay down on the floor beside her daughter's bed, just like she had the first night. Her phone buzzed. Another text from Leo. I'm handling this. I promise. Clara typed back. By handling it, you mean more violence. By handling it, I mean ending it.
How?
No response. Clara stared at the ceiling. Somewhere in this city, Leo Moretti was making decisions about her life, about Mia's safety, about things Clara had no control over. She'd spent 7 years surviving, fighting, building a life from nothing. And now it was all unraveling because she'd asked a simple question on a bus. Can I sit here? That one question had brought a mafia boss into her life, had put her daughter in danger, had revealed that the random violence that took her leg wasn't random at all. It was part of someone's plan, someone's business, someone's empire. Clara's phone buzzed one more time.
Leo, I'm sorry.
For everything. She didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Outside her building, a black Mercedes sat in the darkness. Inside, Leo watched her window until the lights went out. Then he made a call that would change everything. Get me the U.S. Attorney's office. I want to make a deal. The safe apartment was in a building Leo owned under a shell company. 20th floor, corner unit, bulletproof windows. 2 bedrooms fully furnished, stocked kitchen. Clara stood in the living room, arms crossed, while Mia explored the space with wide eyes. Mommy, there's a TV in my room, Mia called. That's nice, baby. Leo stood by the door, Marcus behind him. 2 other guards were positioned in the hallway outside. You'll be safe here, Leo said. Until when? Clara's voice was cold. Until you win your war? Until Volkov gives up? Until I die of old age? Until I fix this? You keep saying that. But you haven't told me how. Clara stepped closer to him. What does fixing this look like, Leo? More bodies? More violence? Because that's what your world is, isn't it? Just violence creating more violence. Not this time. Then what? Leo glanced at Mia, who was pressing buttons on the TV remote. Can we talk privately? Clara nodded stiffly. They went into the second bedroom and closed the door. I'm meeting with federal prosecutors tomorrow, Leo said quietly. Clara's eyes widened. You're turning yourself in? I'm giving them everything. Names, locations, financial records, evidence of RICO violations. Enough to dismantle my organization and Volkov's. Why would you do that? Because it's the only way to end this. As long as I'm running things, you're a target. As long as the organization exists, someone will try to use you against me. Leo's voice was steady, but his eyes were haunted. I'm burning it all down. Clara sat on the edge of the bed, stunned. You'll go to prison. Probably. The U.S. attorney wants cooperation, not martyrdom. If I give them what they want, maybe I get reduced time. Maybe witness protection after, he shrugged. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you and Mia are safe. I don't understand. Why do you care? You don't even know us. Leo was quiet for a long moment. Do you remember when we talked at the playground? When you told me about the shooting? Yes. You said the worst part was wondering if the person who gave the order would even care if they knew what it cost you. Clara's breath caught. What are you saying? I'm saying that person does care. His voice was barely above a whisper. I'm saying he's been carrying that weight since the moment he saw your face. The room tilted. Clara gripped the bedspread.
No.
March 15th, 2018. Territory dispute on 5th and Morrison. I gave the order. My lieutenant executed it. 3 targets eliminated, 1 civilian injured. Leo's jaw was tight. I didn't know your name then. Didn't know you were pregnant. Didn't know anything except that there had been collateral damage. You took my leg. Clara's voice shook. You took everything from me. Yes. And then you what? Decided to play savior? Decided to ease your guilt by fixing the life you destroyed. I decided I couldn't make it worse. Clara stood abruptly. Get out. Clara. Get out. Her voice rose. You sit there and tell me you're responsible for 7 years of hell. And you think what? That I'll forgive you? That saving me now erases what you did.
No.
I don't think that Leo's voice was raw. I think I'm a man who spent years making terrible decisions and never had to see the consequences. Until I met you. Until I saw what my empire cost. So this is about you. Your guilt. Your conscience. This is about stopping. About making sure no one else. Don't. Clara's hands were shaking. Don't pretend this is noble. You're destroying your organization because it's convenient. Because protecting me became too complicated. Not because you suddenly developed morals. You're right, Leo stood. I'm not noble. I'm not good. But I'm trying to do one right thing before I disappear. The right thing would have been not ordering that shooting 7 years ago. I can't undo that. No, you can't. And you can't undo raising Mia alone. Can't undo the pain, the poverty, the nights I cried because I couldn't afford her medicine. Clara's voice broke. You can't undo any of it, Leo. So your guilt is worthless to me. They stood in silence. From the other room came the sound of a cartoon playing on TV.
Mia esse lauter.
She's a beautiful kid, Leo said softly. You did that alone. You survived despite what I did to you. That's more strength than I'll ever have. Don't compliment me. Don't try to. Clara stopped, pressing her palms to her eyes. I need you to leave. I can't. Not until guards are posted. Not until. Then Marcus can stay. You leave. Leo nodded slowly. He walked to the door, then paused. When this is over, I'll make sure you have everything you need. Money, housing, the prosthetic. Not as payment. There's no payment for what I took. But so Mia has a chance. I don't want your blood money. It's not blood money if the organization doesn't exist anymore. It's just money. Leo opened the door.
I'm sorry, Clara.
For all of it. Sorry doesn't give me my leg back, Clara said, echoing her own words from the playground. Sorry doesn't give me 7 years back. I know. He left. Clara sat on the bed, staring at nothing. Her mind couldn't process it. The man who'd been protecting her was the man who destroyed her life. The man offering redemption was the man who'd created the need for it. In the living room, Mia called, Mommy, come watch with me. Clara wiped her eyes and stood. Whatever Leo Moretti did now, whatever empire he burned, whatever prices he paid, it wouldn't change the past. But maybe, just maybe, it would change Mia's future. And for her daughter, Clara would accept even poison help. She just hoped the poison wouldn't kill them all. The federal building downtown was gray concrete and bulletproof glass. Leo arrived at dawn with Marcus and a lawyer named Ellen Ross who specialized in making deals for people who'd spent their lives breaking laws. Remember, Ellen said as they rode the elevator up, you control the narrative. Don't offer more than they ask for.
Don't.
I'm giving them everything, Leo interrupted. Ellen's face tightened. Leo, cooperation doesn't mean confession. We can negotiate.
No negotiation.
I want immunity for Marcus and 3 others on my team who are following orders. Everyone else, including me, goes down. That's not how this works. It is today. The elevator opened to a hallway lined with offices. 2 federal agents waited, along with Assistant U.S. Attorney Catherine Chen, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and no patience for games. Mr. Moretti, she said. This is unexpected. I have information on organized crime operations spanning 12 years. RICO violations, money laundering, witness tampering, conspiracy to commit murder. Leo's voice was flat. I'm prepared to testify against everyone in my organization and provide evidence against Dmitry Volkov's operations. Catherine's expression didn't change, but Leo saw the calculation in her eyes. In exchange for? Reduced sentence. Witness protection after I serve my time, and immunity for 4 specific individuals who had no decision-making authority. That's a significant ask. It's a small price for what I'm offering. They moved to a conference room. For the next 6 hours, Leo laid out his empire in meticulous detail. Shipping routes, financial accounts in 3 countries, names, dates, locations. He'd brought hard drives containing 12 years of encrypted records. This is comprehensive, Catherine said, scrolling through files on a laptop. Almost too comprehensive. I kept records. Insurance policy, originally. Against what? Against forgetting the cost of what I built. By noon, Catherine had made calls to 3 other federal agencies. By 2 p.m., they had a preliminary deal. Leo would plead guilty to racketeering and conspiracy charges, cooperate fully, and serve 15 to 20 years with possibility of parole. We'll need time to verify this information, Catherine said. But if it's accurate, we can move forward with simultaneous raids within 48 hours. Make it tonight, Leo said. Excuse me? Every hour you wait is an hour for leaks. For people to run. Do it tonight. Catherine studied him. You're very eager to destroy yourself. I'm eager to end this.
Ellen pulled Leo aside.
You understand what you're doing? 15 to 20 years. You'll be in your 50s when you get out. I understand. And you're fine with that. Leo thought of Clara's face when she'd realized who he was. The betrayal and rage. The 7 years of suffering he'd caused. I'm fine with it, he said. By 9 p.m., federal agents were mobilizing across the city. Warrants had been issued. Teams assembled. Leo sat in a federal holding room, watching news coverage on a small TV. His phone, monitored now, buzzed. A text from Vincent. What did you do? Leo typed back, what I should have done years ago. We're brothers. How could you betray us? I didn't betray you. I freed you. From what? From me. Leo turned off the phone. At 11:47 p.m., exactly the time Clara had been shot 7 years ago, federal agents hit 15 locations simultaneously. Vincent's house in the suburbs. The warehouse on the waterfront. 3 nightclubs Leo owned. 2 shipping facilities. Volkov's main operation center and 4 of his distribution points. Leo watched it unfold on TV. Breaking news. Multiple raids. Organized crime task force. Arrests expected. Marcus appeared in the doorway. They'd released him after his immunity deal was confirmed. It's done, Marcus said. Is Clara safe? Guards are still posted at the apartment. But with Volkov's organization collapsing, the threat level is dropping fast. Leo nodded. Make sure she has access to the accounts I set up. For Mia's education. Medical expenses. Whatever she needs. She won't take it. Then set it up, so she doesn't know where it's from. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Was it worth it? Destroying everything you built?
Leo thought about that.
His empire had taken 12 years to build. 12 years of strategic decisions, calculated violence, and ruthless ambition. He'd been 23 when he started, angry and hungry for power. Now he was 35, sitting in federal custody, watching that empire crumble in real time. I built something that required people like Clara to suffer, Leo said finally. So no, it wasn't worth it. It was never worth it. What will you tell the others? Vincent, Anthony, the men who followed you? That I'm sorry. That they deserved a better leader. Someone who understood the cost before it was too late. On TV, federal agents led Vincent out of his house in handcuffs. His face was furious, betrayed. Other familiar faces followed, Anthony, Michael, Tommy Chun, men who'd trusted Leo with their lives and freedom. Leo watched them all fall, one by one. A dozen arrests, then 20. By midnight, the number reached 37. His entire organization, gone in 3 hours. Catherine entered the room. It's working. We're getting cooperation from several of your lieutenants already. Volkov's people are scrambling. This is the biggest organized crime takedown in city history. Good. You don't seem happy about it. I'm not happy.
I'm relieved, Leo stood.
When do I transfer to federal prison? Tomorrow morning. Marshals will transport you. Leo nodded. Tomorrow, he'd begin 15 to 20 years of paying for his choices. It wasn't enough. Could never be enough. But it was something. And for Clara, for Mia, For every person who'd suffered because of his empire, something was better than nothing. The city outside the window was lit up with red and blue lights. Dozens of police cars, federal vehicles, news vans converging on locations Leo had once controlled. He'd ruled this city from the shadows. Now he'd burn in its light. And somehow, that felt like justice. The news broke at 6 a.m. Clara woke to her phone buzzing with alerts. Still disoriented from the safe apartment's unfamiliar bedroom, she grabbed it from the nightstand. Breaking, massive organized crime raids across city. Federal task force dismantles major criminal organizations. Anonymous tip leads to dozens of arrests. Clara's hands shook as she scrolled through headlines. Photos showed men in handcuffs being led from buildings. Warehouses surrounded by police tape. Federal agents carrying boxes of evidence. And there, in one photo, a face she recognized. Vincent Calabrese, the man whose order had cost her leg, being pushed into a police van. She read further. The articles were vague on details, but they mentioned a high-level cooperator who'd provided evidence. No names yet. But Clara knew. Leo had done it. She got up and found Marcus in the living room, drinking coffee, watching the same news coverage on the large TV. Is he alive? Clara asked. Marcus nodded. Federal custody. He'll be transferred to prison today. For how long? 15 to 20 years. Maybe less with parole. Clara sat down heavily. He really did it. Destroyed everything. Yes. Why? Marcus looked at her. You'd have to ask him. But I think he finally understood what his empire was built on. And he couldn't carry that weight anymore. On the TV, a reporter stood outside the federal building. Sources say the cooperation came from within one of the organizations, a shocking betrayal that has led to charges against over 40 individuals. Mia emerged from her bedroom, rubbing her eyes. Mommy? Why are we here? Where's our apartment? Clara pulled her daughter close. We're on a little vacation, baby. Just for a few days. I don't like it. I want to go home.
Soon.
I promise. By afternoon, the story had exploded. Every news channel covered it. The scale of the operation was unprecedented. 2 major criminal organizations effectively dismantled in one night. Clara's phone rang. An unknown number. Hello. Ms. Rodriguez, this is Catherine Chen, Assistant U.S. Attorney. I'm calling about Leo Moretti. Clara's chest tightened. What about him? He's requested to speak with you before his transfer. You're under no obligation to agree. But he was insistent. I don't want to see him. I understand. However, there are some financial matters he's arranged that require your signature. Trust funds, educational accounts. He's set up provisions for you and your daughter. I don't want his money. With respect, Ms. Rodriguez, you might want to hear the details before deciding. These accounts are substantial. They could change your daughter's life. Clara closed her eyes. She wanted to refuse. Wanted to have nothing to do with Leo Moretti ever again. But Mia deserved a future. Deserved college opportunities, choices Clara never had. When? Clara asked. Today. Before 6 p.m. I can arrange transportation. The federal holding facility was cold and institutional. Catherine led Clara through security checkpoints, down sterile hallways, to a small conference room with a table and 2 chairs. Leo sat on one side, wearing an orange jumpsuit. He looked exhausted. Older. His hands were cuffed in front of him. When Clara entered, he stood awkwardly. You didn't have to come, he said. I know. Catherine placed papers on the table. I'll give you privacy. 15 minutes, she left, closing the door. Clara sat. They stared at each other across the table. I saw the news, Clara said finally. 40 people arrested. 43 as of an hour ago. More to come. You destroyed everything. Yes. Was it worth it? Leo was quiet for a long moment. I can't undo what I did to you 7 years ago. Can't give you back your leg, your time, your pain. But I could stop creating more victims.
So yes.
It was worth it. Vincent Calabrese is one of the people arrested. He gave the direct order. He should pay for that. So should you. I am. 15 to 20 years, Leo's voice was steady. Maybe when I get out, I'll be someone different. Someone better. But right now, I'm just trying to make sure you and Mia have what you need. He pushed the papers toward her. Education trust for Mia. Fully funded through graduate school, if she wants. Medical account for your prosthetic needs and any future care. And a housing fund that will cover rent or mortgage for the next 20 years. Clara stared at the numbers. They were staggering. Life-changing. This is too much. It's not nearly enough. But it's what I have. Leo leaned forward slightly. Take it for Mia. Not for me. Not even for you. For her future. Where does this money come from? Legitimate accounts. Property sales. Things the government couldn't seize because they weren't directly tied to criminal activity. He paused. It's clean, Clara. I made sure. Clara picked up the papers with trembling hands. She thought of Mia asking for chocolate milk yesterday. Thought of eviction notices and broken prosthetics and nights crying over bills she couldn't pay. If I sign this, it doesn't mean I forgive you. I know. It doesn't mean what you did was okay. I know that too. Clara signed each page, her handwriting shaky. When she finished, she pushed them back across the table. I hope prison changes you, she said. I hope you spend every day thinking about what your choices cost. Not just me. Everyone. I will. And I hope when you get out, you find a way to live with it. Because that's what I've had to do. Live with what you took from me. Leo nodded slowly. Thank you for coming. I didn't do it for you. I know. Catherine knocked and entered. Time's up. Clara stood. She looked at Leo one last time. This man who destroyed her life, then tried to rebuild it. This man who'd ruled through violence, then dismantled his own empire to stop it. Goodbye, Leo. Goodbye, Clara. She walked out without looking back. That evening, Clara and Mia returned to their apartment. The guards were gone. The threats were gone. The shadow of Leo's world had lifted. Clara tucked Mia into bed and kissed her forehead. Mommy, are you still sad? Mia asked. A little, but I'll be okay. Promise. Promise. After Mia fell asleep, Clara sat at the kitchen table with the signed papers. She thought about justice and redemption, about whether someone who'd caused so much harm could ever truly atone. She didn't have answers, but she had a daughter who'd go to college now, who'd have opportunities, who'd never have to struggle the way Clara had. And maybe that was enough. 6 weeks later, the coastal town was nothing like the city. Clean air, quiet streets, houses with gardens where children played without looking over their shoulders. Clara stood on the porch of a small blue cottage, watching Mia chase butterflies in the yard. The moving truck had left an hour ago. Boxes filled every room, but it already felt more like home than their apartment ever had. The new prosthetic made everything easier. She could walk without pain, stand without trembling. The prosthetist had called it a miracle of engineering. Clara called it a second chance. Mommy, look. Mia held up a monarch butterfly that had landed on her finger. It likes me. It knows you're special. The butterfly flew away, and Mia chased after it, her laughter carrying on the breeze. Clara's phone buzzed. A message from Catherine Chen. Thought you'd want to know. Leo Moretti was transferred to federal prison yesterday. He asked me to tell you good luck with the move. Clara stared at the message. She tried not to think about Leo these past weeks. Tried to focus on packing, planning, building a new life. But he was always there in the background. In the trust fund that paid for this house. In the prosthetic that let her walk without pain. In the absence of fear that had haunted her for 7 years. She typed back. Thank you for letting me know. Then she put her phone away. The town had one main street with a bakery, a bookstore, and a cafe called the Driftwood. Clara got a job there within 3 days, waitressing again, but the pace was slower, the customers kind. No one knew her history. No one asked about her leg. She was just Clara, a single mom starting over. Mia started at the local elementary school. She made friends immediately, the way children do. She drew pictures of their new house, of butterflies, of a life that felt safe. At night, after Mia was asleep, Clara sometimes sat on the porch and thought about the bus, about asking a simple question that had unraveled everything. She'd been angry at Leo for weeks, furious at the cosmic injustice that the man who destroyed her life had been the one offering redemption. But slowly, the anger faded into something more complicated. He'd paid a price. 15 to 20 years behind bars. His empire destroyed. His freedom gone. It wasn't equivalent to what he'd taken from her.
Could never be.
But it was something. 3 months later, Clara sat in the driftwood on her lunch break, reading a book Mia had picked from the library. The cafe was quiet. Rain tapped against the windows. A man entered, older gentleman with gray hair, wearing a fisherman's jacket. He ordered coffee and sat at a corner table with a newspaper. Clara didn't recognize him. The town got tourists sometimes, people passing through on their way up the coast. When her shift ended, she found an envelope on her table. Her name written in unfamiliar handwriting. Inside was a check. 3 months' rent for the cottage, paid in advance, and a note on plain paper. For Mia's art supplies. She mentioned wanting oil paints. A friend. Clara's hands shook. She looked toward the corner table, but the man was gone. His coffee cup sat empty, a $5 tip beside it. She ran outside. The street was empty except for a black sedan pulling away in the distance. It could have been anyone. A tourist. A stranger who'd overheard Mia talking about painting. But Clara knew better. 1 year later, the cottage's garden was full of flowers now. Clara had planted them with Mia over the summer. Roses, lavender, sunflowers that grew taller than her daughter. Mia was thriving. Top of her class.
Happy. Safe.
Clara worked full-time at the Driftwood now, managing the cafe. She'd started taking online classes, business management. Maybe she'd own her own restaurant someday. Maybe not. The pressure to constantly survive had lifted, and she could finally breathe. She dated occasionally. Nothing serious. It was hard to trust. Hard to let anyone close. But she was healing. The prosthetic never broke down. Every 6 months, a card arrived from Providence Medical Solutions confirming her free lifetime service plan. She never questioned it. Other things appeared too. Anonymous scholarships for Mia's school trips. Gift certificates to the bookstore that appeared in her mailbox. Small kindnesses from nowhere. Clara never saw the man from the cafe again. But sometimes, on quiet mornings, she'd find her favorite coffee waiting at her usual table. Still hot. Paid for. With no one there to thank. She'd sit and drink it, watching the ocean through the cafe windows. And she'd think about empty seats. About the ones we fill, and the ones we leave vacant. About how one simple question could change everything. Can I sit here? She'd asked it once, desperate and afraid. And a man had said yes. That yes had cost him everything. Had cost her everything too, though she hadn't known it then. But from that destruction, something new had grown. Not forgiveness. She wasn't sure she'd ever truly forgive. But maybe something close. An understanding that people were complicated. That someone could be both destroyer and savior. That redemption wasn't about erasing the past. It was about living differently in the present. 18 months later, Mia was 7 now, painting in the garden while Clara prepared dinner. The radio played softly in the kitchen. A news report came on. Leo Moretti, the former crime boss whose cooperation led to the dismantling of multiple organized crime syndicates, is up for early parole after serving just 2 years. Clara's hands stilled on the cutting board. His testimony resulted in 73 convictions and is credited with reducing violent crime in the city by 40%. The parole board will decide next month. She turned off the radio. 2 years. Not 15. Not 20. Clara didn't know how to feel. Relieved? Angry? Afraid he'd reappear. But deep down she knew he wouldn't. Leo had given her a new life, then disappeared from it. Had paid his debts the only way he knew how, with distance, with silence, with resources that appeared like gifts from ghosts. The seat beside her had been empty for 18 months. And maybe that's how it needed to stay. That evening, Clara and Mia walked on the beach. The sun set orange and pink over the water. Mia collected shells, filling her pockets with treasures. "Mommy, are you happy?" Mia asked suddenly. Clara looked at her daughter. Healthy, smiling, safe. She thought about the cottage, the job, the life they'd built far from violence and fear. "Yes, baby. I'm happy." "Good. Me too." They walked hand in hand as darkness fell. Behind them, their footprints filled with water and disappeared, leaving the sand smooth and clean, like a slate wiped blank, like a chance to start again. And somewhere, in a federal facility or a distant city, or maybe just in memory, a man who destroyed everything to save one woman he'd wronged sat with his own empty seat, carrying the weight of his choices, living with what he'd done, and hoping that somewhere, a mother and daughter were finally, truly free.